Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC studio ahead of Misfits versus Fnatic. But first off, we're going to have a little chat with the first ever OC import into Europe, Destiny, who just got his first 2-0 weekend with Origin. Congratulations. I guess you couldn't have dreamt of a better start.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. 2-0, I take that. It might have been long games, but win's a win.
Was that along the expectations? What was kind of the goal set? Of course, you're always going to go 2-0, but it's not necessarily what is set out in a first week.
Yeah, I think for me at least, a lot of people saw me as like a long-term investment. Obviously, it's a bit risky to like import from Oceania, especially when there's a lot of European talent, a lot of new rookies in this year. So I think Origin took a different approach in looking at me. I impressed a lot of people in the off-season, and it's going well for me.
Yeah, we heard Scrim God sometimes. So how
Yeah.
much of that is true? Do you consider yourself Scrim God?
Yeah, I really try hard in scrims. So yeah, I impress people and yeah, paid off.
I mean, that's good because trying hard in scrims is something sometimes we hear is like a criticism towards you. Scrims is like, well, are people really try-harding? So I guess he's a breath of fresh air.
Translates well, I think. Also with Nuktak always, the room is also Scrim God, so I think that fits together. And now Stage God, it seems, after this week.
Yeah, indeed. Let's take a look at your game and your victory. Yamato is going to talk about the picks and bans in the draft. And how about, Yamato, you tell us how good the draft was from your Origin, or what you thought and what you thought the goals was, and then Destiny can say if that lined up with their plan.
Honestly, I really loved the Gragas prio. I think Gragas, strong at every point in the game. LeBlanc blind pick is also super strong, especially because Syndra is disabled. I think just the priority on the right champions, a clear path to victory, a lot of impact on the LeBlanc mid in the 2v2 against Ryze. We saw the roams, and then when LeBlanc is ahead, I don't think there's a way for the enemy to deal with it. So I think it's very easy to see the sentiment and the idea in this team, and that's what I really like about Origin's drafts so far.
So?
Decade of the Duck.
Decade of the Duck. Yeah, you're already here with the memes, of course. Yeah, is it? We talked yesterday about how when your new team or newly configured team, ease of like composition and being able to make moves is the most important thing. Is that also what you have in mind, or do you think you'll go a bit more the complicated route even in the first weeks?
I think our goal for the first few weeks was to like keep it easy, keep it like standard stuff we're comfortable on. And yeah, we got the 2-0. I think that when the weeks go on, I think a lot of people will vary and find their own styles, whether they want to play early game, late game. I'm sure teams will like change the way they play. But for us, like we'll just keep testing in scrims, see what we like, and yeah.
Yeah, for now though, we saw a lot of roaming of you together with Xerxes, but also you on your own. How much is roaming a key component of the strategy in these early games for you?
Very big. Like I feel like playing with the jungle as a support is so important. Like I really enjoy playing with Xerxes. I feel like our communication is really good, and I feel like we see the way the game is meant to be played on like a similar level. So he's really impressed me.
I think roaming is often something we kind of use. We say like blanket statement, yeah, roaming is good and roaming is always great, but there's a lot more nuance to it, isn't there, Yamato?
Yeah, for sure. It's all about finding the right opportunities. I think also, I imagine Nuktak, the way he's managing the wave. We saw many times Elise was trying to gank Nuktak, they were trying to roam onto him as well, but he always finds the right opportunities, waited very patiently for you, Destiny, and also Xerxes. So I think there's a lot of planning involved, and you know, giving a tip to support, just roam more usually doesn't work. And those guys just buy Moby boots, they are level 2 the entire game, and they just kind of fall off a cliff. I think it's super impressive what you've showcased so far.
Yeah, the vision was also on point. How does that translate into training? Like, how do you train on vision specifically? Do you like look at a map afterwards of the scrim and say, okay, it should be here, 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 and here? Is someone commanded with putting more wards down or different? How does that work?
Yeah, depending on like what side of the map we want to play on is usually where we would. In this scenario, in this game, we wanted to play to LeBlanc because she's so strong in the side lanes. So me and Xerxes would get vision in the top side for her, and then we would recall. If he's having a fine time, we would go bot side, help out our Fiery. He's playing Nile. Also, like we had like a very good 1-3-1 comp, I think, where both side laners could play aggressive. So I think it's just, you need to identify what your team composition wants to do. If you want to play towards mid, drop towards mid. And if you want to play side lane, you want the side lane.
It sounds really simple.
Yeah, it's so simple, but so difficult.
Exactly. It is very difficult, especially when it's changing, because it doesn't seem like you had... I don't want to like insult the teams you played against, but everything seemed to go according to plan completely. And that is also in part due to the plan that you make before with the coaching staff. How are you experiencing playing and planning with those guys?
Our coaching staff is really smurf. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm really glad that they saw opportunity in me and they saw my potential. I feel like they've helped me out a lot. I think Andre and Jack have done a lot of work. This entire off-season, they've really helped me out in the team. We've been scrimming since December. We went on like a boot camp. Like, we've really put in like the hard yarn. Like, I think a lot of people have seen me and they're just like, oh, like, rookie, like he's just support, like he's just gonna end or stuff. But
honestly,
team,
I was one of them, so I'm not gonna sit there and lie, you know.
I don't blame you. Like, you know, like,
I think the words that were used were Origen is the winner of the off season. In 4 out of 5 positions, they could have the best player, but it was left in the middle what the 5th was. But you know, but I think it's normal that you have to kind of work against those sentiments because you are the first of your kind, right? But it can only inspire you to do better. Yamato, what is your verdict about Origen after the first 2 games?
Honestly, I think by far the strongest team. In terms of showcasing, I think the idea of what they're drafting are really, really, like, after watching LPL, you kind of dissect what is good, what is bad. And I think Origen's ideas really fit the mold. I think Zaira Khan, Gragas, that really, really sells me. You know, that's a big plus. And also the identification of how to win the game, especially in this one. Like, the enemy team can't really engage on you. You have the Senna, you have the LeBlanc later to poke. If LeBlanc is stronger in split, the game is over. And the LeBlanc got ahead, and that was just juicy.
It was juicy. Let me ask you about kind of your cooperation with some of the individual players on your roster. And let's start with Upset, because he's also the key player of the game with 51% of the votes. You're also in the vote. But I think maybe, support don't often get a lot of votes.
I think you deserve it, man.
Thank you.
But there we go. So talk to me about playing with Upset, who's been a mainstay, of course, as the EDR carry for a long time.
Yeah, he's insane. Like, I'm really lucky to be able to play with him. I feel like he's taught me like a lot on how to improve, and I feel the same way, vice versa. I feel like we've helping each other out, and we've taken like a duo approach. Yeah, I'm just super glad to be with him, and I think that he will prove that he is one of the best AD carriers in Europe. For myself, like, I want to take him to Worlds. Like, I want to do it for him, you know. Like, he's been wanting it so badly. I think as long as we keep working hard and keep doing what we're doing, it's a great start, the best start we could have.
I love your smile. You're just like, you're so happy with 2-0. Why wouldn't you be? Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious. On your opinion, you said you started practicing in December. Since you came from Oceania, a weaker league, of course, is harder to improve. These 2 months, how much would you rate your improvement?
I would say after Worlds, out of 10, I would probably give myself a 6. Since then, I would say that I'm an 8.5.
Okay.
Out of 10.
That is great.
Yeah, I feel like playing in European solo queue compared to OS solo queue, oh my. Oof.
Okay, tell us about some of the differences.
Like the player base, like you get instant queue pops.
That's always good. Being able to play is like a basic.
I've seen in queue times like 40 minutes, and I just open up Netflix and like just chill out. But here, instant game. People were very like the EU mentality, they're very strict. Like, they flame you. Like, you make one mistake, they'll go on about it the entire game. So people really care about winning here, and I love that. I love the competition, and I feel that player base, like the skill.
Yeah.
The amount of teams. There's so many regional teams, so many players. Like, so many people want to be pro here, and it's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, it is true, and we've seen it in the rookies that have developed in EU, of course, and now we're happy to welcome you as well. Thank you so much for talking to us. Congratulations. Looking forward to seeing more of Destiny and of Origen, but for now, we're over to our next game, Fnatic versus Misfits, 2 teams that started the year out with a loss. Let's see who bounces back.
Very good question, Sjokz. Yeah, we are getting ready. A lot of Fnatic fans in the audience. Going toe-to-toe with Misfits now. We're going to have to see. For Fnatic, it was a difficult game. They got OG'd. That's what we're going to call a slow, agonizing death now, is getting OG'd. On the opposite side for Misfits, that game was all over the place. So I think for both teams, they're going to want to look to set the record straight here. So we get closer and closer to Champion Select in our 4th game. Second to last game of the week.
Yeah, and whenever we come into a Fnatic game, I think it's always going to be about Selfmade proving himself. You know, because for his entire rookie split, he was playing on SK. You know, the team did make playoffs in summer, in spring rather, but they were always an underdog team. In summer, of course, all the way at the bottom of the standings. And Selfmade was always the standout player. That's why Fnatic put a lot of trust in him. So now it's about actually putting the results out. Yesterday, wasn't able to convert any early ganks into kills. Now I want to see some bloodthirstiness out of him.
I want to see it too. Champions Select going to kick off. We're going to have to see how both teams adjust after their games yesterday. Because, of course, Selfmade is the odd man to watch beside of Fnatic. I'm personally excited for the battle of Mithy versus Amazing. Now both moved into coaching staff, former Origin players, former long-standing teammates. So you can win the day. The Lucian, the Rumble, the Akali, all banned away. So far, things that we've seen in a lot of our other games.
Yep, see a lot of the same here in terms of the bans. The Pantheon is an interesting one because it is banned in most games. Sometimes just makes it through all the way. It seems like very different priorities on those champions, but also the Gangplank that Dan played just the other day being taken away by Fnatic, and that means, well, they probably don't want Dan on something safe in the top lane. Maybe Bwipo wants to put some hurt down.
True, and also Bwipo, I mean, struggled.
Oh yeah, he really struggled yesterday.
The Swain counter pick, we have to assume it worked out well for him in scrims, but just did not work against Alphari. And Dan, of course, still a top laner you have to respect. He's a guy that's hard to get a read on, had some great games at the end of last season, but we're going to have to see where his level ends up after the off-season and all that practice.
Okay, so Misfits are already doing what Origin did to Fnatic yesterday, leaving the Aphelios up. Now the question is, did Fnatic's priorities shift? I hope they shifted away from the Swain. That's my personal take on that one.
Swain could be a flex. Important to remember, but it will be the Aphelios once again.
Now, Origin's response into this was to take very heavy engage options against the Aphelios here. Make it so that he can't abuse that range advantage he has with the Calibrum or anything like that. The Leona is going to be that style of hard engage, potentially leading to, you know, Razork playing around this bottom lane, giving Bvoy some attention, because yesterday's game, Razork fell really far behind in CS, and that's something you cannot do against Rekkles.
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult game for all of Misfits yesterday, and for Razork especially. Had a solid start in the jungle, but could not convert it into anything greater. And now we have our bot lane matchup sorted. Braum, Aphelios versus the Leona. Misfortune, but it's Fnatic who've gotten their hands on the Gragas, the standout jungler so far in the last few days.
That means Razork needs to be on something that can bully it around early, can gain pressure out of the jungle matchup, and be able to, you know, set up some ganks around strong laning champions like that Leona MF combination. Lee Sin definitely fits that bill, especially when you're running the Conqueror on the Lee Sin. Anytime you fight against Gragas, it does go your way, but as we saw in the previous game, Gragas does have the ability to path around his opponent, and in that way still has strong gank setup, assuming that he doesn't get countered out.
It's also harder now with camps spawning so frequently to really deny resources. You have to find them and fight them. You don't really have any other option if you want to shut them down. Now the second ban phase, see what they're going to limit on both sides, because they've matched picks. So it's only top laners and mid laners left to really be respected. The Veigar, Nemesis pocket pick from Worlds, obviously some memorable moments, as he may have solo killed one or two, we'll call them inconsequential players.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't make finals, you're just not a real team, you know?
True, it's 100%. You just installed Fnatic at the same time as...
it's a 2-for-1, baby.
There you go. All right, the LeBlanc going to follow. So mid lane appears to be the focus. I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It was a mixed bag for Nemesis yesterday. He liked the Diana, but obviously Nukduck's LeBlanc reigns supreme.
Yeah, what I'm learning about Fnatic here is that they are very quick to adapt, but they have no counters for champions that they struggled against previous days, because the Gangplank, of course, banned now the LeBlanc that also is really difficult for Rekkles to deal with. Now I'm wondering if, actually Misfits, they banned away the Yasuo, so the Ornn is left available, and this is something that I think Bwipo could try to look for, especially if he's blind picking his top lane champion against something like the Misfortune. You drop the R button down, and she can't really do much of anything.
And we have to remember, Bwipo is the king of blind pick Ornn in the era where nobody was blind picking Ornn, and I feel like by banning the Jax away, it's just further evidence that they might be setting up for that.
And the thing is, Misfits don't want to pick Ornn because there's a Braum on the other side. That guy can just chuck his wall up and deny it. So even though they have first pick coming out of the secondary ban phase, if they were to take that champion, I would be very, very surprised.
Yeah, got themselves caught there. Have to see if the Yasuo ban would have been worth it. Hard to know for certain. But they're taking their time here, debating on what they want to blind pick. It will be the Orianna for Febiven in the mid lane. But it's hard because obviously Bwipo has a lot of counter picks, a lot of picks that are kind of unique to him that he excels at, but he's also just the blind pick of top lane.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a situation where I think Fnatic have the choice, you know, for so long they've always been the bot lane focused team. They could select to go for something a little bit more carry potential in the top lane, but I still really believe in the Ornn pick. I know Bwipo loves himself some Aatrox, and that's a safe blind pick for the most part too, up top side, but I can't help but feel in the back of my mind. I remember Dan, especially back when he was playing in EU Masters, he loved these ranged champions. He loved to bully you up top side. So with Misfits saving last pick for him, he has the option now to really try and take something and can slam home this Aatrox.
But one thing that I really love about the Fnatic draft that they have today that they did not have yesterday is this Gragas pick. Now they have Peel for Rekkles if he gets ahead. Bwipo and Nemesis can be free to dive the backline and not have to worry about protecting that AD carry because there is a little bit more of a form of disengage. But the Nocturne,
let's go!
Oh,
Nocturne mid lane, or Nocturne top lane.
This is your mandatory 5-second Vedius shout out. Solo lane Nocturne.
No. So here's the thing, right? I duo with Vedius a lot. He plays the mid lane Nocturne. But there's also the top lane Nocturne, and I have to say, I know of at least one Nocturne main on the European server that is a top lane Nocturne player, and he's a higher elo than Vedius. So I just got to put that out there. So top lane Nocturne, probably pretty sweet.
All right. Well, regardless, here we are. Two compositions with very different goals. But I would like to talk a little bit about what both teams have going on now. It's very easy to identify the wombo combo of the Orianna, the Leona, and the Misfortune. But what else do you see here, Andrew?
All right, so there's so much going on. Honestly, we're going to have to track a lot as we get into game. Right now, we have heavy dive from both teams. This is going to be a game where it's all about Misfits piling up and killing Rekkles, and it's all about Fnatic piling up and trying to dive onto Bvoy and Febiven. The big difference here, though, is that I do feel like with a Braum next to Rekkles, they have a little bit more peeling options here to keep their backline safe.
Now, early game, always the question we're going to shift to, inevitably jungle pathing, seeing what Razork can do. Had some clever starts in his game yesterday. A similar story for Selfmade, who really got the ball rolling early on, burning 2 flashes from the side of OG. But can both players look to improve their performance to more of a lead? And quite frankly, I am super excited about this game because there are so many champions that I want to see. One of them, Diana. More Aphelios, always excited about it. Maybe other people aren't as much, but Nocturne top lane. You say stuff, I'm gonna pro build what it does because I don't know.
All right, so honestly, I've seen a lot of crazy different things because like I've seen Vedius play the top lane Nocturne. It usually runs into a lot of problems when I play with him. You see, Nocturne has a lot of wave pushing tools.
Did you try to call it champion Vedius?
I did call the champion Vedius. Sometimes you get confused when Nocturne's in the game. So because of his passive that gives him, you know, that AoE cleave around him as well as the Q, it's very easy to push waves on the Nocturne, but Nocturne doesn't really have a natural escape to get away. So if you're naturally pushing waves in the top lane, you have to be very smart about when you do it, because with an Aatrox there and a Gragas, there is CC, there is ability to be ganked. That being said, when he does get into extended fights, especially with that lethal tempo, because he breaks the attack speed cap, he gets so much, and also when he's standing on top of his darkness trail, he gets a ton of bonus AD. That becomes really, really powerful in extended trades against virtually any champion.
Now I have to see if Bwipo's prepared.
And Vedius taught me all of that.
There you go.
I'm being honest, guys.
So surprisingly, Nocturne top lane has been played before, and apparently it's 2-0 in European history.
Broken.
So
undefeated. So I have another like big brain strategy here for the Nocturne, and it's not as an Aatrox counter. This is hold that thought.
Getting engaged on here. Severum just going to heal him right back up, though. That was definitely not the trade that they wanted on the bottom side of the map.
It's a great segue, though, for us to take us into the bot lane, because Nocturne ultimate as a counter to Aphelios. Aphelios, land that Calibrum ult, land that Calibrum Q. He gets infinite auto attack range, but as soon as darkness comes down, he can't see him anymore.
Yeah.
Deny the autos.
And now Razork is getting in, though. This is what we were talking about. Gragas not going to win out on a lot of these duels. The smite comes over. Razork just going to be happy for the Gromp. That's going to be his first camp taken, but will deny Selfmade second. And is he going to be willing to chase down to the Wolves here? Looks like the answer is yes.
Yeah, because Razork just wants to buy space for his Nocturne. This is what I was sort of talking about, right? You know, Nocturne wants to be pushing, bot lane level 2 all in.
Another engage. Braum immediately going to use the wall there. Onslaught now coming out. denyk taking the bad end of that trade, but Hylissang getting chunked down, and Bvoy still very healthy. Repeated aggressive trading here from the Misfits bot lane.
Yeah, you do get to see right there how the Aphelios Braum combo works. Aphelios gets a bunch of attacks out. in a very brief span of time, instantly proccing that Braum passive on towards denyk. denyk lucky he had the Aftershock up to try and soak up a bit of that damage. But now you're just going to see, I believe, Razork continue to try and track Selfmade and make sure they can't punish top lane.
Ooh, flash in, he goes immediately in onto Dan. Dan couldn't spell shield there because he's not level 3 yet, and Bwipo's now on the chase. Nocturne in the solo lane, doesn't have the Umbral dash, but now it's Razork on the bottom side. Rekkles is going to find the snare. That's going to be first blood, and this is bad. Extended fights with Aphelios are never going to go your way. Rekkles looking for the follow-up, looking for the CC, the stun is there. Razork's neck on the menu. Rekkles, is he going to fish for it? The lockdown is coming, just a few seconds away. Can he finish it? Calibrum won't connect. Whoa! The patience and the kill coming through from Rekkles.
Holding on to it right there. The kill goes down. That's 2 onto Rekkles. Massive win for him. And now Dan with the big trade in the top lane. That's so much damage onto Bwipo. Bwipo should be able to TP back into this lane though and make up for it. But Fnatic have jumped out to a massive early lead.
Nemesis getting aggressive there as well. But as you said, Dan burns the TP to get back into the top lane and win out on that trade. Bwipo will be forced to respond with one of his own, most likely. But Aphelios 2-0 start, that is going to be very oppressive.
Especially because it starts out with a straight 2v2 kill. I mean, Razork sees Selfmade. Selfmade's only level 2. This should be a one fight for Misfits, but the double Braum stun going onto both champions at the same time, on top of Rekkles holding onto the Gravitum gun right here, you know? I believe he was able to burst through his secondary weapon, so he has that CC, which is just so incredibly powerful, and then he just yoinks him. Yoinks him with it. He held it that entire time.
It's about a 10-second cooldown early, so he uses it the first time, and then the 3.5-second decaying slow, as long as that's on you, so for 3.5 seconds, you can reactivate it any time. Well played, well spaced, and that's the thing you have to respect, I think, on Aphelios. When he's low on ammo on a gun, it means he's going to get to cycle through 3 abilities very quickly in any given fight, and he's a lot more of a threat, especially when one of the guns is Severum, which isn't honestly the highest DPS early on in the game.
Yeah.
But now
this is going to be bad news, right? Because, of course, now denyk doesn't have his splash either. Still holds on to the Ignite, but this was a bot lane where I think if you got Hylissang down there early, you were expecting to get kills. We talked about Misfits knowing that Fnatic, their tendency was, we will first pick Aphelios if he is open. Misfits said, let's get some dive in there. We'll put together the Wombo combo. We have the MF Leona. We have the Nocturne level 6. When Nocturne hits level 6, he's supposed to roam into mid lane or into bot lane, especially with this CC setup to find a kill. Now that Aphelios has a BF sword and 2 kills under his belt, he can just turn it around on you, especially if he has, you know, like his DPS gun, right? The white gun, you can just drop it on the ground and you just can't fight into that.
No, very difficult. Terrifying champion with a lead, but for now, Razork trying to set up, trying to find an opportunity to gank. No level 6 for Dan quite yet, and that's important because you talked about a lot of these windows. You talked about the opportunities for Misfits, but most of those opportunities come around level 6. As a result, they're kind of just waiting at this stage. Dan with a lot of healing on the Umbral Blades just to make sure that he can sustain in this top lane matchup, but for now, no greater advantage. Sadly for Bvoy and denyk, significant disadvantage here in terms of XP. Nemesis, though, getting pulled in. Febiven.
Look, bot lane and dive's happening too, but top lane.
Bwipo now stepping back, wants to turn this one. The fear is still kicking down. Dan is going to be able to spell shield. That was clean. Can he make it out to safety? The shield is coming in. The TP being followed up. They're going to fall. There's too many fights across the map. That's going to be 2 on the top side. Instantaneously, the double kill for Nemesis and another one on the bottom side for Rekkles. Fnatic are spilling blood everywhere on this map.
Yeah, Fnatic just taking over. It started in the bottom lane. Rekkles turning on the wave clear, setting up that massive triple wave stack. Not only getting the kill onto Bvoy, but now making sure that he's down 20 CS and Infernal Drake on the top of it as well. And 1 TP later, Nemesis has his double 2. It's a disaster for
this. Is something that Fnatic as a team have always been fantastic at in the recent years, Ender, is if you overcommit on a play and they have a teleport, they're going to be there right when it matters. They're always able to turn those moments around, and insult to injury is the fact that the bot lane play also went in their favor.
Well, it's also really important to know that oh no. I was just about to put, oh god, no.
We're gonna wait.
Vedius just put his...
Ladies and gentlemen, a special desk is a special guest is joining us at the desk. It's your one and only.
Oh, I see. Vedius is showing up because Nocturne's already died in the laning phase. I can't.
You can't hear it. It's not
talking to my mic.
Hey guys, listen.
No!
Okay guys, listen. I know this doesn't look good for the Nocturne top lane right now, okay? I appreciate that he might be struggling, but I just want you to know that the champion does very well into this matchup, and, as Ender described, can in fact win the 1v1. The problem is the jungle intervention. And so if we could just remove them, you would all see how good Nocturne
Riot
top lane
tried,
actually
Vedius.
is.
They nerfed the jungle. They're not supposed to do anything. That's what Ender told me.
I'm just don't blame the pick. Blame the players.
All right, I think that's your cue. Goodbye. Thank you, Vedius, for your support. That was lovely. Thank you, audience, too. Vedius, ladies and gentlemen, a true class act. Don't blame the pick, blame the players.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I have a
Febiven. That's going to be the all-in. They're going to immediately go down. Diana's going to find a bit of extra damage. But Dan, is he going to make it out? Yes! Tower shot will not be enough, burning a lot of resources, but the dive coming through.
Uh-oh. Selfmade on the way. He does not have his ultimate. Oh, he's
They're
dead.
going to try to lock him up. They're going to try to knock him down. Lee's still going to follow. He's going to try to get out, but he can't. 1-for-1. Tower takes him down in the end, and now Misfits are fighting back. This is what you want to see.
They're about to take this 2v3. Oh, if that Q landed. But they're still going to take it.
It's going to go in. That's going to be the onslaught. That's going to be a ton of damage. Arms there as well. Rekkles now on a rampage.
That's like one of the best single target DPS combos too right there. He has the red gun and the white gun. Just get melee range on top of them. Instantly procs that Braum passive. See the dive one more time because Nemesis does try to stay alive, right? With the ultimate coming around. I believe Dan actually got the spell shield to be able to block that one out, and Razork takes 2 tower shots. Had he been able to dodge away from one of those, it would have meant his life. But then Selfmade just gets really, really over-aggressive.
But just really well timed for denyk. Like, setting this kill up. Obviously, Razork, maybe a little too hungry for that kill there to make it a 1-for-1, but that could have been disaster if Leona did not intervene.
Well, we didn't want to show what Aphelios just did.
Yeah, Aphelios pushed Q.
That seemed really fun interaction for Dan.
He was already dead.
Guys, it's a cover-up, I'm telling you. They don't want you to see. They don't want you to know.
The nerfs are coming. We've seen them. They may have called them adjustments this patch, but we all know how it was adjusted. And now we check in on the game state, and the thing is that as great as that play looked for Misfits, 2-for-1 in the end for their favor, it's still a fat gold lead for the side of Fnatic. Almost 3K in their favor. All 3 of their respective carries very far ahead of their counterparts.
So Razork, I wonder if he tries to look for a really nasty flank here. He has flash up, so he could potentially ward hop flash behind a Rekkles if they wanted to set it up. But he doesn't really have a vision. He doesn't know, if Selfmade could be in the area. And it looks like without that knowledge, they're going to back away from this one.
Hearing a lot of communication on the Misfits side. One of the luxuries of being close and being in the studio. You can always hear when the communication gets a bit frantic, but it looks like waiting for cooldowns. Dan's ult's coming up, and that's kind of our cue. When he has ult, when he has wave prio, kind of expect him to roam. The downside, he's level 6 to Bwipo's level 9.
Ulti did just come back. It's really interesting Razork go up into this top lane to find this. Obviously the wave is pushing out, so Bwipo's trying to get aggressive.
Yeah, but he sees it. He knows it's coming. He knows it's a bad trade for Dan. And now denyk's on the way in. Bwipo going to tank a lot of pressure here. They're still trying to finish this one off. Bwipo's just going to cut through the entire team. Goodbye to Dan, and the rest of the team has to turn tail and run.
So Bwipo just 1v3'd casually.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can say what you want about Bwipo's Swain or his Rengar, but his GP and his Aatrox are scary. You have to respect these picks.
And at the same time, Fnatic just take over the rest of the map. Nemesis bot lane taking the tower, mid lane almost goes down there with the Herald. I'm trying to rewind my memory, see why when Dan's ultimate is up, are we going to attack his lane? And now Razork in a lot of trouble. And no, it's Tilly.
Overstays his welcome. Maybe can take him to safety. Hylissang now wants to back up, but no, Febiven perfect timing there as he comes out of the stopwatch. But denyk now going to move in. Selfmade goes gold. Gets a lot of cooldowns. A good block in the body slam coming in. That's going to be ulti coming in from Misfortune. Selfmade. No, not enough.
Okay, I really wish that Razork had let Febi run that one down. Selfmade, he was going to run into a tower anyways. It wasn't going to be an execute, but now it's a dive in the top lane.
Talked about
that's a 3-level difference.
Oh, that's so much damage. He can't spell shield enough. Rekkles just walks in, onslaughts him down, and the lead is too massive. 0-4-1, 55 CS Nocturne to 110 on the side of Bwipo. This is just not a fair fight.
Honestly, I can't help but feel bad for Razork. Now he knows what it feels like.
You can't do that to people, Bender.
That's why I do it with Vedius. Vedius plays Nocturne in solo lane. Should I keep explaining the joke?
No, it's
I'm a jungler.
It's good. It's good that you took the time to explain it because people thought you were hard flaming anyone else. Oh. There it is. Now the game has fallen, sadly, disastrously out of control for the Misfits side. We can expect maybe 1 or 2 more Nocturne ultimates, but he's so underleveled that it's not quite the threat that it once was, and Razork now has to run for the hills, pull back. Just barely not going to connect, trying to kick back, but Nemesis goes in, getting a lot of cooldowns there, but has to trade his flash to do so. And in the meantime, the People's Champ himself is up in the top lane, solo taking a tower.
I just want to check in on that gold one more time, because right now, 7,000 in the pockets of Rekkles. You can see that that is more than twice as much as Dan. Ouch. You can see that Hylissang has more gold than Dan.
Also ouch.
Ouch.
That's brutal.
And the worst part about this is like, what? No one will ever have the courage to play solo lane Nocturne again, right?
Yeah, because you flamed it to oblivion.
Yeah, it's over. Sorry, this was the one shot we had.
Well, and the thing is now, the good news is Febiven is farming. Febiven is doing okay. He's just behind the 3 primary carries. The bad news is Rekkles is deleting this tower, as Aphelios can do.
So that's the thing with the white gun right there, the crescendum. All right, sweet. The closer you stand to your enemy, the faster your attack speed is, because you know when it returns, you get auto again. It's kind of like Draven's axes in a way.
Not at all, but okay.
You know, you pick it up and then you.
Yeah,
if
sure.
he only ever had one axe that he could throw.
Yeah, if he couldn't also just regularly auto attack, but yeah, sure. it's you know, similar.
I'm trying to think of a way to explain it, because like
tennis and football
the champ's
both
just
involve
got
balls. You're
so
right, that's
much
true.
going on. He's got so much going on.
It's true.
It can be confusing sometimes. Like when he picks up his Runeance Hurricane, he just throws out 3 bullets every auto.
Yeah. All right. That's a big number, 1,560 to 360.
How big?
I mean, that's 1,200 gold difference.
Yeah. I did the math. I checked it.
I appreciate you.
Took me a second.
Whoa, that's going to be the max range slow. Febiven's now going to be in trouble. Does manage to get out to safety. A parting gift from Bvoy as he throws that ultimate out. But once again, Misfits fishing for scraps. Maybe they can find the pick. Maybe Hylissang can get kicked out there. The kick's going to go through. Leona's going to get the follow. Bvoy's there. He doesn't have the ultimate anymore, but maybe they can get this one done. Sadly, Rekkles is incredibly powerful. If they try to keep this fight going, it might just turn against him. But Bvoy has the confidence to go
out of
in
range
and get the kill. denyk. Dan's here as well. The ultimate's already been used. denyk needs to make it out safety because here comes Nemesis. As Nemesis finds a way into this backline, the fight will simply end. denyk going to go back. He's going to be the sacrificial Leona to keep his team alive. But Bwipo wants to keep the fight going. Fnatic going to have to walk away. But overall, I think an okay exchange for the side of Misfits.
Yeah, I mean, Misfits were definitely looking at 2 kills right there, but Dan, without the level 11, he's out of range for the ultimate. He was trying to get into the backline. That could have been 2 kills.
Definitely the wrong play. Instantly dead. Dan is next. Are you kidding me? That was terrible. Fnatic just wiped the floor with Misfits, and you don't own any part of the map, Misfits. I need to make that clear because you cannot walk into your jungle like that. And if you hear the crowd, maybe not into the audience either.
The whole map belongs to Fnatic. They just let the peasants sometimes come, you know, farm the land, farm the camps, but no, not here. denyk, he tries to get this turnaround, and again, at the start, it's good, right? They combo it. Razork gets that double kick, and then Dan tries to come in, and he's out of range. And then Bvoy has to flash forward to get the kill, barely unable to finish off Hylissang, and that's where the turnaround comes on through, because then all of a sudden Bwipo, level 11, enters the fight. Nemesis as well can show up, and with Hylissang just barely tagging that final Q, they get the kill.
Then they're fine. Then they walk back in, and that's the part we don't see, and that's the part that I think made us both quite angry, is they walked back in for no reason. And now Bvoy potentially in trouble again. That's going to be all the caliber was going to mark. That's going to half health him. If that had hit one more stack, I think, because of blows, he would have certainly gone down.
I've seen crazier clips. I thought maybe
That's true. 2 items for Rekkles, though. No IE quite yet. We got bits and pieces on the side of Bvoy. No Essence Reaver, no Infinity Edge. But all of Misfits remaining grouped, hoping to pick off 1 or 2 members. But quite frankly, they're running out of options. TP coming in on the back side.
That's a double TP.
That's going to be Bwipo.
From both sides.
Nemesis is here as well. There are not enough spell shields to go around. Nemesis pulls the entire team back in. Rekkles, where's the ulti going to be? That's going to be 1. Can they find the follow-up? Bwipo chasing Febiven. Sped up by the phase rush. Will make it out to safety, but Rekkles ult not available quite yet.
Crazy thing is because there's no neutral objectives, Fnatic just keep forcing fights down mid lane. They're working, so keep taking them by all means, but there's nothing they can convert it into. They've already taken all the inner towers except for the bottom lane, so it is just rinse, repeat, fight, get kills, get summoner spells, take all of the enemy jungle, deny that completely, and make sure it's Rekkles, it's Bwipo, it's Nemesis, these carries picking up all the enemy minions.
And this is such a different pace of game, Andrew, than our previous game.
Thank God.
This is...
I will take this any day, Drakos.
I mean, I love it too. Look back at this fight, obviously Bwipo going in. You've got Nemesis on the backside too. The only sad thing is Rekkles is so far away, he can't finish off all these kills, but...
Yeah, it's unfortunate too. I can't quite tell what Rekkles' second hand right there was.
Chakra.
Yeah.
So he's hoping to get
I think he had one last shot of Infernum before, but he wasn't able to get in range to pop down the massive AoE damage to combo it with Nemesis. Big ol' pull in with the ultimate. I don't know what quite you call it. It's kind of like a... Wait, everyone used to call it like the Shockwave, right? Because it was like Diana had Shockwave on her E, now she has on her R. She's playing against Orianna.
It's called Moonfall, clearly.
Moonfall.
Which I knew definitely before you asked that question.
That's the
It
one.
was just letting you run around in circles.
Like there's an effect.
Yes.
Pull everything in.
Yeah, like the moon's gravity.
No, like a...
Like a shockwave?
Yeah, but it's something.
Black hole?
No. I mean, that's like what Misfits see when they look top lane in this game.
You're right, dude, come on. Let live the man. He tried his special pick. It did not work. And it's tough because now he's got, you know, you're going for the Ravenous Hydra, but it's really just the Tiamat proc that you want to keep pushing. Misfits have got one, maybe two opportunities for a sick wombo combo before this game actually just ends. Tower is going to break. Fnatic are pushing in. But this should just be the
Oh my lord!
Did engage coming in from Aphelios. You fall behind against the champion, you lose the game. It's that simple because Bwipo is dunking down. And the fountain is really the only thing stopping Fnatic from killing the entire Misfits team at this point in the game. A disastrous game for this Misfits lineup. And Fnatic showing us what they can do with Selfmade on the lineup.
This way for some minions now. Misfits, what are you gonna do?
Go all in is what it looks like, but they can't get anything done. Rekkles is just doing too much damage. He's untouched, and when you ignore an Aphelios, the game also ends. Razork gonna go back. He will save his own life, but Fnatic will end the game. Less than 20 minutes! Yes! 1957, what it looked like.
So I've got bad news, Drakos. The timer actually keeps running until the victory thing pops up, and I'm looking at it over my monitor. It's 20 minutes and 1 second. And I believe that's how they mark the official timer.
Abysmal performance.
Complete failure from Fnatic, I have to be honest. But not from Rekkles. 10-0 at the end of that one.
Great game.
Reminding us why they're first picking Aphelios continually, because when it looks good, it looks real good.
Yeah, there's something about when your entire team is fed and you don't have to worry about any ult other than purple ult on Aphelios. You ult, you get a 99% slow, you snare 3 people on the enemy team, and then they all just die. That is a powerful champion. I respect, once again, Misfits. They look at the opposition, they go, we've got this special pick, we've got this special strategy, we're going to delete Aphelios every fight, we're going to win. I assume that's kind of what's going through their head. Sad thing is, the lane phase didn't work. It's a similar story in OG versus Sjokz. Same thing. They thought the Renekton Elise was going to work for them, didn't. And you can see when these early game or very kind of one idea, singular focused strategies don't pan out early on, they just fall apart.
I mean, it's unfortunate too, because I actually really enjoyed Razork's early pathing, you know, walking into Selfmade's jungle, forcing him out of the top side to make sure that Dan could have some space, but it all went wrong in the bottom lane when they went for that gank, and it wasn't just Aphelios one-shotting people when he had 4 items and, you know, level 18. It was level 3 in that bottom lane where he just completely turned it around and showed off the incredible synergy between Aphelios and that rapid-fire auto attack right next to the Braum passive to make it so that denyk just had nowhere really to go.
And the entire team of Fnatic feeling good. They're all wearing turtlenecks and jackets. That's the aesthetic these days, I guess. But of course, key player of the game, Bwipo, Selfmade, Nemesis. And it really was a special game because it was an awesome game done quick, some would say.
Rekkles is the guy you meant to say.
No, I was going to talk about the game time. Because it's 20 minutes and our average game time coming into that game was 39 minutes. So if you play an ARAM tonight, or you have just enough time for one more solo queue game, you can thank Fnatic when you play that game. Or you can thank specifically Bwipo, Selfmade, or Nemesis on Twitter. Your choice.
I just want to thank Rekkles. That's the guy I want to thank, Drakos. He's the man that did it all.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Bwipo 3v1's top lane.
Yeah, but that was like after Aphelios had done Aphelios things.
You won. Yeah, but you didn't say Rekkles did Aphelios things. You said Aphelios did Aphelios things.
Well, yeah, you know, Rekkles was just sort of the conduit, you know, sort of, because like, hear me out, right? Aphelios is the conduit for
his sister,
Alune, right? She's the one that's chucking him all the guns.
We're in lore now. We're real deep here.
So, okay, never mind. I was about to go way off the rails.
We've achieved Chim. More on that one potentially later. But obviously, fantastic once again from Fnatic. Really unfortunate start, I think, for Misfits. Once again, I feel like every game we see moments and kind of glimmers of positive things for this team and this lineup, but they've never come together as a whole. But coming up next, we're going to hear from Rekkles before G2 takes on SK for our final game of Week 1. You don't want to go anywhere.
Of course, you are watching the LEC. We'll be playing against some no-name team in a few minutes, so you don't want to miss it. See you there.
Someone that's afraid to let go. You decide if you're ever gonna let me know.